Hi, everyone. I'm Eva Yazhari. I'm the managing partner of Beyond Capital Ventures, and I'm really excited to interview the co-founders of our most recent investment into Ampersand. I'm here with Josh Whale and Alp Tilev, CEO and CTO, respectively, of Ampersand. Just to dive in, welcome and nice to have you both, Josh and Alp.
Thank you so much for having us, Eva.
A pleasure. So as we share this opportunity that we have invested in at Beyond Capital Ventures and Beyond Capital Fund with our investors and our supporters, let's start off with just the quick question of what does Ampersand do and why were you motivated to found this company?
So Ampersand has developed a battery swapping system, a software backend to manage a fleet of batteries. And with this, we serve a fleet of battery swappable electric motorcycles that operate across Kenya and operate in Kenya and Rwanda, with the intention of spreading this across all of sub-Saharan Africa, but really targeting a commercial use segment. And this makes up half of all motorcycles on the road in sub-Saharan Africa. And what motivated us to start this business was really the desire to put a vehicle and an energy system on the road that was simply cheaper and better from day one, and to do it in a genuinely mass market setting, not in a premium segment, but really going straight for where the unit economics were strongest, where you have a large fleet of vehicles and users who spend a lot of money on fuel in total, but also at an individual level, and where we can save them a lot of money just by going electric, with the net result that you've just got a vehicle that costs less to buy, it costs less to operate, has more power than the old way of doing things. Oh, and it just happens to be electric.
Incredible, and certainly very important, and I think resonates with everybody who's listening. Alp, over to you as the CTO, and one of the things that we were very impressed by was the technology, was your technology platform called AmperOps. Tell us, how does technology play a role at Ampersand?
Yeah, at Ampersand, technology plays a pretty critical and crucial role. A lot of times we are seen kind of as an operating business, but really at the core of it, we're a technology business, because we really had to look at this platform and this segment from the ground up, simply because there was no viable solutions out there at the time when we started that would actually serve this market. So basically, we had to build a lot of things from the ground up, including a battery swapping motorcycle, a battery pack that's able to deliver energy almost as reliably as gasoline multiple times a day, and an energy operating system basically that creates the core engine of Ampersand, that's basically doing thousands of swaps, analyzing all the energy used, basically packed full of sensors. That's giving us insights every single day on how we can optimize and grow our business. So it plays a pretty pivotal and key role in Ampersand.
I also know that from our own due diligence that financing partnerships are much easier for your bicycles, your motorbikes, because of the technology integration piece, because potentially that bike could be turned off if a payment isn't made. Can you just touch on that briefly?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, our vehicle is packed full of sensors, and those sensors tie into our operating system. And so all the data that's collected is also available in a way that's synthesized for our asset financing partners. This really gives them a lot of let's say, ease when it comes to actually financing these vehicles, simply because they're able to control the asset in ways that they could not with the incumbent internal combustion engine vehicles. So we provide them an end-to-end solution that's cleaner, cheaper, and just is a revenue-generating asset. So it's really de-risks their investments for them.
That's incredible. I'm not sure if you're aware, but there is a job spec in India where people stand on the street corner and look for number plates to repossess vehicles.
Wow.
Which sounds pretty crazy, but it is in fact true. And you certainly have created a solution to that. So thank you for sharing. And just to expand out a little bit, I mean, everything you've said resonates with us at Beyond Capital. And you know, clearly we see your company as having impact baked into a business model. In fact, we see Ampersand as one of the leading triple bottom line businesses in our portfolio. Expand on what the impact that you are having is at the company.
Sure, I'll take that one. So when we look at climate change, obviously the original reason that started me working on Ampersand in the first place, really looking for that shift, that pivotal shift. And what we've really delivered is, you know, arguably the world's first genuinely mass market electric vehicle that's just cheaper and better than a fuel one. And we've done it in a commercial segment that accounts for a disproportionate amount of fuel consumption. So each motorcycle displaces 2.5 tons a year. And as we look ahead to 2050, Africa's population is going to be 2.5 billion people. And half of all road traffic on the continent is already motorcycles, and that proportion is growing. And so how Africa moves is going to matter a huge amount for our success as a planet to keep warming under 1.5 or even 2 degrees. From an individual level, though, I think for a lot of us, that's what day in, day out is what is most directly and personally motivating. And just to put this in perspective, we save about $1,000 a year at the moment per customer, depending on where the fuel price is. Sometimes it's $700, but right now, because of high fuel prices, it's around $1,000. And to explain what that means in real terms, so what we found recently was that we were starting to get some discrepancies in demand at the edges of our swap network. So at the edges of the city, at the beginning of the day and the end of the day. And we've actually got increased pressure again now, more recently as well. But we use an incredible amount of data. As Alp said, we have a really data-driven software package, an incredible amount of smarts and sensors in the battery pack. We collect about 50 data points every 5 seconds from our motorcycles, and we use that incredible wealth of data to very much fine tune where we put our stations. But what we were finding a few months back is the surge in demand, and we thought, oh gosh, have we got something wrong? Is there a bug in the data? But actually, when we looked into the individual driver tracks and called up our customers, what we were hearing from the other end of the phone is like, yeah, I've saved so much money from riding an Ampersand motorcycle that I've bought land on the edge of town. I've built a house. I've moved in my family from up country. My kids are now going to school at the better schools in the city, and I bought these livestock, and now I'm putting in a bid on my neighbor's plot to buy their place as well. And that's transformational change, and it's in a sector where, apart from farming, is the single largest source of employment in Rwanda.
I think that anecdote shares exactly one of the main points of impact where we see Ampersand as, frankly, a need to have. And we won't expand on this much more because we want to keep this brief, but you are both conscious leaders in thinking about more than just, you know, shareholder value and potentially your customers. Obviously, you're thinking a lot about your customers, but you are thinking about the climate. You are working with the government. You understand that community benefits from your work as well. So I just want to highlight that. And looks like Alp has your Ampersand team behind him in his background as well. So it's not just the two of you, and it takes a large team, particularly across your charging station, your battery swapping station networks. To go a little deeper, you know, I alluded to our investment, but very curious to kind of go to that side and understand what did our capital and, frankly, the whole Series A round of capital enable Ampersand to do?
So over the past 18 months, we've been proving that we can take the original concept and we had 50 motorcycles on the road that had been operating for a couple of years. But the big leap that we've performed is to get that up to a real commercial scale and to get some solid unit economics and gross margins. And so we've now reached a point. We have just over we have 1,350 motorcycles on the road between the spread between Kenya and Rwanda. In Rwanda, where we have the bulk of the larger proportion of those, we're already at a 36% gross margin. We've Alp's team and our after-sales service team and the swap network have now reached a point where the motorcycle batteries are so reliable that it takes it's only once every 6 months that a driver gets stuck by the side of the road, has to call up the hotline. A fresh battery comes out on a bike within 20-30 minutes. And so we've achieved a level of uptime and product maturity that just far outclasses anything else on the road, including every internal combustion motorcycle, as well as all the electric options, not just in Africa, but across India, in Southeast Asia, South America, in this high utilization, high energy, heavy duty commercial segment. And so what BCV's investment is going to help us to do is to really get now to the final stage of having a battery swapping system, having all the software now ready for not just 1 million kilometers a week, which we're now performing, but 100 million kilometers a week. Not just 100,000 battery swaps every month, but millions of battery swaps every month. And we're already being approached by the two largest motorcycle OEMs just in the last 4 weeks have come and visited us because they see what we've produced, and they're interested in it not just for Africa, but for back in India, and for other markets as well. And so where we're at now is really on a cusp and a confluence of our technology being at that level of maturity at over 4 years on the road, happy customers everywhere who want the product, governments who are saying, look, we're sick of fuel imports. They're a drain on our economies across Africa. We have the renewable energy capacity across Kenya, Rwanda, 92% renewable energy capacity with geothermal, wind, solar, hydro in Kenya, and it's a win-win. Let's get off the fuel and let's use the Saudi Arabia we have in our own backyard and make that switch. And so we're now at a not just an organic customers choosing our bikes and organic growth and step by step, but at a real pivotal tipping point of a much more rapid transition to electric. And I think at the end of the day, that's super inspiring for the whole world, right? And it's so counterintuitive. I think the dominant paradigm for e-mobility is that it trickles down, and it starts with the Tesla Roadster and George Clooney back in 2009, and now we're kind of working our way down, and that the global south will get e-mobility in a second-hand kind of way, but actually we're going to be at the very front. And these are the stories that we need to get out there and to grow and succeed if we're going to build the portfolio of solutions that the world needs to crack this climate change thing, and to build the optimism and sense of purpose and determination that we all need to get the job done.
I can feel the excitement in my body. It is palpable. So I think that this is the moment for Ampersand, and that's why we're very excited to be an investor and help you share the story, which is what we're doing right now. So last quick rapid fire question from the Beyond Capital podcast that we ask every guest, and hopefully we have you as a guest coming up soon on that show when we launch season 4. What book is on your nightstand right now? Alp, I'll turn over to you to go first.
I mean, I think I read 2 books that were really fun reads recently. One is When the World Stops Making Sense. As by a South American author. His name I forget right now, and also The Overstory, which is also a very fun read, which I highly recommend.
Incredible.
Mine is a book that Alp actually really encouraged me to read. It's called The Ministry for the Future by Kim Stanley Robinson. I think it's really important to just kind of play out what the next 50 years, what the next 30 years are going to look like in our minds. And so the decisions we make as an individuals and the way that we look at the world is based on as close as we can get to a plausible reality. And I think and I think Ministry for the Future does a fantastic job there.
Thank you. Well, we always walk around at Beyond Capital telling everyone that the research shows that in 2050, 1 in every 4 people on the planet will be on the African continent, and that will be representative of 70% of the world's youth. And those are eye-opening ways to think about the future, which is pretty much 98% why we do the work that we do, because we also know there's impact there. So I would love to close by just thanking you both for your time, your valuable time. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Alp, and hope to see you again sometime soon. All the best.
Thanks, Eva. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thanks.
And thanks for your support.
Absolutely. Thanks for the support.